I'd like to call this meeting of the Exeter Planning Board to order on Thursday, August 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the NOAC room of the town office building located at 10 Front Street, in case you're not sure where it is, Exeter, New Hampshire, to consider the following. First, I'd like to introduce the members of the board that are with us this evening. The four of us, we do have a quorum. I'm Langdon Plummer, the chair, and to my
Gwen English.
left,
Nancy Belanger, Select Board Representative.
and our clerk.
John Gruder.
Welcome. I think we'll just waive the minutes this evening because we have a very important agenda of the CIP and our honored guest, our town manager. I would turn the meeting over to you and allow you to lead us through this
Sure.
document. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lang. I just wanted to comment, first of all, by saying it's wonderful to be here tonight. Thank you for having us. I'm represented by many departments, and they have many projects to represent to you. We have a valuation increase in the town on order of magnitude 60%, and that's a substantial increase, the likes of which we haven't seen in many years. And that value increase doesn't necessarily relate to people's tax bills. So with valuation, with the valuation change, what you have to do is look at the value year over year versus the tax rate year over year. And the tax rate is going to change from its current configuration of $26.78 per thousand to another number, which is going to be substantially lower. So when you compare year over year, you're looking at the current value versus the current rate, and we won't have our tax rate set until November of this year. So I know that there's been some documented, social media things out there about people's taxes going up, but people shouldn't overreact to that. They should wait and see what the new tax rate is before they jump to any conclusions. So just wanted to point that out. So this year's CIP focuses on very basic needs. We have some pretty basic projects, I would say. We have the Linden Street Bridge, which is an important project over on Linden Street. That project is escalated in cost, and Public Works Director Steve Cronin will talk about that. We also are searching for groundwater and down Drinkwater Road, off Drinkwater Road, and we have an agreement with PEA. And that project is moving forward. We actually have a drill rig out there right now, and we're expecting to be drilling early next week. So that project is going forward. And also Pickpocket Dam. The Select Board made a recommendation to have the dam removed, and that project is going to be on the 2025 town warrant for voters to vote on. And we'll be looking for grant funding again to see if we can subsidize that project through a grant. Also, we have projects in the pipeline right now. West Side Drive and the School Street area are two major projects that are already approved, that shovels are not yet in the ground, so we're working on that. Also, we have the police station and the fire substation, which was approved. That was a big project, as you know, so that is underway and the site's been cleared, and we're working diligently on that project. We have an architect on board, which is exciting, and that's going to keep moving forward. And then the final point I wanted to make before I turn it over to the departments are that the fact that we've all reviewed the requests as a team, so this document that you see before you reflects the department heads working together as a team and putting together the CIP in such a way that it really reflects the overall priorities of the management team and the department heads. So when you look at it, you know it's been an inclusive process. So with that, I think Public Works is up first. So Steve Cronin, come on up.
Pull up the PowerPoint presentation.
Hello, can I jump in? Chair Lang, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, because I was on and the NOAC room was muted and Greg just had told someone in IT, so I'm here, I'm back on.
All right. Thank you very
Jen?
much. I'm Steve Cronin, the Public Works Director. Brought my whole team with me tonight. Paul Vlasic, the town engineer, Steve Dalton, our water sewer superintendent, and Jay Perkins, our highway superintendent. So we have a quick presentation of Public Works related CIP requests for 2025. And then there are a few other items in out years that we at least want to bring to your attention at the end. So first up is the big one. As the town manager mentioned, we're in the process of developing a new groundwater source. Back in 2020 and 2021, the department did a source capacity evaluation, and as part of that, we identified some potential groundwater development zones and conducted some testing to identify which areas might be the most favorable for a new groundwater source. A site on PEA property just off Drinkwater Road was selected for further testing and development. We're estimating right now that that could produce 0.5 to 0.7 MGD. That well, if it comes to fruition, would be connected to the Larry Lane treatment plant with its existing capacity to treat that for iron, manganese, bacteria. And as Russ mentioned, drilling of that well and the pump test are going to happen this month. So they mobilized on Monday. They'll begin testing begin drilling rather next week. As part of that, we'll be monitoring private groundwater wells in the area, and then rating that well and bringing it forward through a permitting process with DES. So we're currently estimating $6.8 million in final design and construction of that new source.
That would be drilling, installing everything to the...
Yep, so that's the building, that's the
Larry Lane.
transmission mains, tying it into the Larry Lane treatment plant. Also included in that number is rehabilitation of the existing Larry Lane well. So the building there is in disrepair and needs some upgrades, so that will be included in that number.
How do you decide what's a good area? Other than dowsing or copper
Yeah.
rods?
There's a lot of different ways, but they look at soil conditions. You drill some preliminary test wells, do some borings, things like that. We know that there's an aquifer in that area from the wells that are already developed, so that's also a good starting point.
Is this our land or is this PEA's land?
So it's PEA's land. We've worked out an option agreement with them that includes easements for both the transmission main and the well location itself. So, there will be a purchase of an easement that's included in this number also that would be negotiated as part of the development process.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up is the Great Bay Total Nitrogen Permit. So this is a 5-year permit that we have for the wastewater treatment facility that also includes an adaptive management framework for reducing non-point source pollution. So those are pollutants that are independent of the wastewater stream itself. They include things like water quality monitoring, nitrogen tracking, nitrogen source reduction. There's some previous work that's been done in relation to this permit in prior years, including development of an advanced septic program, fertilizer reduction education, and BMP, best management practice designs. The request for fiscal 25 is for $395,000, and it includes two components. One is replacement of our existing street sweeper for $385,000, and then the development of an enhanced sweeping program, which will help reduce nitrogen and nutrient load headed into Swamp Squat into the Great Bay. So we have applied for SRF funding for both of those requests, and we are at the top of the list for the Clean Water SRF program. So we'd have 100% principal forgiveness on the $10,000 program development, and then 25% principal forgiveness on the $385,000.
Just like to interrupt momentarily to introduce Jen, our another regular board member.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
Any questions on that one?
Just SRF?
State revolving fund. Next up is the Pickpocket Dam. So as the town manager mentioned, we've been working on this one for quite a few years. This dam was reclassified from a low to a high hazard dam in 2018. We completed a feasibility study this year that looked at a breach analysis, upstream and downstream impacts of modification or removal of the dam. We looked at alternatives that included rehabilitation, modification, and removal, as well as the costs associated with those, as well as looking at the ecology of the upstream and downstream in the event we do any of these alternatives. So that would include things like fish passage, water quality, water capacity. So, as was mentioned, the select board voted in June to recommend removal as a preferred alternative. We're required to complete any modifications or removal by December of 2027, so there's a little bit of urgency here with this request. And we are pursuing, hopefully pursuing multiple grant opportunities that exist for this work. So right now, there are about four that we're aware of. So.
In the review and studies, has anything been done regarding the, I'll say, the impact? I realize that Brentwood is holding the water, and our dam is holding the water there. But I don't, I'm not sure what was done, recalling what we did with the Exeter River, but I think they were trying to look at the whole river before and after, and I don't know if that was included as that part of the study. I did go to one meeting, and I don't recall.
So we have looked at some of the impacts before, after. There would be some monitoring that would be required. Paul, I don't know if you want to speak to that any further.
Evening, Paul.
Hello there, Paul Velocich, town engineer. I was actually having trouble hearing everybody tonight, so
Well, we're
I
supposed
don't
to
know
speak
exactly
into the
what you said.
microphones.
You have to repeat your question.
Why don't you
Ryan.
repeat your question?
Yeah, can you repeat what you asked? I didn't fully hear.
The question is, how far up the river did the study go in terms of impact of removal of the dam as compared to doing one or two of the other alternatives?
So the dam removal was looked at to see where the impoundment where it exists today.
Yes.
And it's below the Hague Road there. And there's another a little river that ties in just downstream of the Hague Road. It's just somewhere around that location. So the study looked at the water level implications out to that location. And also for any type of increased velocities because of the impoundment being removed, for soil movement and sediments and that sort of thing also.
Thank you. You're thinking, Gwen?
I'm good, I'm good.
All right,
It's environmental service that put the date on there, 2027?
Yes, yeah, that was part of the,
A request for action.
thank you, yes.
From the Dam Bureau, and it's a negotiated date of when we had to have all the improvements done by. The previous date was I think it was April of, or June of this year, and that's when we had to decide what we were going to do with the dam, whether to modify it or to remove it. Well, we were close. We went over it a little bit. We notified DES on that, and they said, due diligence, and they were then notified that that we were going to remove the dam.
And that's plenty of time to take care of it then.
That is enough time to take care of it if we get funding soon.
Okay.
If we miss this go-around of funding, that 2027 date is, we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is Clemson Pond. So Clemson Pond is a critical component of the wastewater system where our combined sewer overflows are discharged to. This project for $500,000 is to remove vegetation and sediment that's been deposited in front of the discharge point of the two combined sewer overflow barrels. Once removed, we'll clean and inspect those barrels to look at the condition and estimate what the remaining useful life is on those and what action needs to be taken. Also, as part of this project, we're going to inspect the tide gates that discharge water from Clemson Pond to Squamscott River, and then develop some preliminary cost estimates for repair and rehabilitation of the tide gates and the barrels.
The tide gates aren't inspected on a regular basis?
So we have inspected them. They are leaking, which we did notice over this winter during some heavy rain events. So we need to get in there and get a better look at what's happening internally. But yeah, we know we have some issues with them sealing tightly at this point. So. Next, we have the wastewater treatment facility, effluent flume. So the effluent flume and disinfection chamber are original to the old wastewater treatment plant. They were rehabilitated as part of the construction of the new facility. It is our collection point for permit-required bacteria sampling. We had attempted some coatings here last year or the year before, and they did not adhere to the concrete. So right now that concrete is exposed, and that's really an ideal condition for bacteria growth. So we're looking for $245,000 to remove those failed coatings, repair the concrete and the etching marks, and then apply a new coating that will adhere to the surface. Linden Street Bridge. So Linden Street Bridge is experiencing some settlement and bulging as a result of ongoing issues with pavement settlement and the abutments and the wing walls. The guardrail that's on there right now does not meet industry crash ratings. We had advertised this for construction bids this year, but the bids came in significantly higher than what was already appropriated for the project. So we're going to need additional funds in order to complete it. The total cost of the project is estimated at $1.56 million, and we're going to be contributing $310,000 of bridge aid funding that the town has already acquired for this project.
Is that a pedestrian bridge? That's not a vehicular bridge, right?
It's a vehicular bridge. Yep.
So what did, you said that you put it out to bid, so how far over were the bids?
They were almost double what the original estimate was.
What was the original estimate?
605.
Oh, okay, all right, so you allowed for
Yep.
plenty of money?
Yep. So the estimate that we have includes construction oversight as well, but was developed with information received through the bidding process, and then adjusted for inflation.
Have you noted construction prices going down any, since we're,
No, we really haven't seen anything
COVID's
start to. They've leveled off a little bit, but we're not seeing anything drop. Next up, we have replacement of the fuel island at the Public Works facility. So as you know, we've done some initial planning for future rehabilitation or replacement of some of the Public Works facilities. We're continuing that work, but it is a priority for us to replace the fuel island. The siphon pumps are at the end of their life. I'm starting to see quite a few maintenance issues with that. The canopy and the base are deteriorating. We have no way virtually of tracking vehicle and fuel usage for reporting purposes. As part of the planning, we developed some conceptual site plans, which have enabled us to determine kind of an ideal location for the new fuel island. So That included looking at things like circulation, safety, and then routine operations of the department. So those are all factored in that decision.
This does not include the other underground tanks?
It does,
It
yes.
does.
Yep, so it's removal of all the existing equipment and then replacement with all new underground tanks, pumps, software, and tracking system. Next is front at Pine and Linden Street intersection improvement project. So we're currently in design of a proposed roundabout for this location. Try to reduce vehicle speeds, improve turning movements, and increase pedestrian safety. As part of the design, we did some camera inspection of the drainage and sewer pipes in that area. And we found that there's some settlement and some deterioration of those pipes. So we're requesting funds to replace those as part of this project, which weren't the initial budget. So, some sections will be replaced, some will be relined. I think it's 100,000 in general fund request and 150,000 in sewer fund request.
Which need to be done whether you're putting in a roundabout or not, right?
Yeah.
In case someone should ask.
Yep.
Is the roundabout already funded, or did we just fund the design?
Yes, the roundabout's already funded. We have a design, we're working with the butters right now. So we have some easements that probably need to be acquired as part of that process. Next is transfer station improvements. You're going to hear a little bit later from Kristen about a proposed styrofoam recycling unit project. This is related to that, as well as some safety and access improvements that were requested by the Sustainability Advisory Committee. But we're looking to pave the site and widen the entry, install some pavement markings and additional signage, relocate the cardboard and construction disposal platform to account for the new styrofoam and to make the site flow a little bit better, and then some potential stormwater controls as well with the paved site. We have two vehicles that we're requesting for fiscal ‑25. So these were initially requested in FY '24. However, they weren't funded, so we're bringing them back this year. First is a 2008 International six-wheel dump truck that has just over 52,000 miles on it. It's a critical piece of equipment for snow and ice and daily operations. We're going to be replacing it with a slightly smaller vehicle, which is equivalent to an F550 hook lift with a sander body and front and wing plows. And we're also requesting to replace one of our sidewalk tractors, Tractor 58. It's a 1991 trackless, has over 4,000 hours on it. We use it primarily for sidewalk snow removal, roadside trimming, sweeping, and asphalt grinding as well. So, any questions on those?
Can you continue to use that, or is it really past its?
So we're using it right now. It was used this winter. It was actually out on the road today, I believe, doing some roadside trimming. But we're proposing to either trade or sell this one when we acquire the new piece of equipment. And I just wanted to highlight a couple big projects that are coming in outer years. Surface water treatment plant. So $500,000 was appropriated this year for planning and preliminary design. We're hoping to advertise an RFQ for that process at the end of this month. It would look at things like design flow, site alternatives, piloting of treatment technologies, and then some preliminary costs for final design, construction, and operation. This plant, the facilities date back to 1889. It's been through multiple upgrades, but the treatment process is pretty much outdated and has a difficult time meeting today's water quality regulations. So, very high cost to operate. It's very inefficient. It's struggles with manganese removal and then the creation of disinfection byproducts as well. So we'll be requesting $2 million in '26 for additional design, and then from that we hope to develop again some construction costs that we will bring in later years. But this is going to be certainly a costly item. Water Street reconstruction. This is another road reconstruction and utility replacement project. Plan on requesting design funding in +26 and construction funding in '27 in the range of $6.3 million. We're going to continue the intersection improvement program. Phase 1 study was already done. We're working on Phase 2 now. And we are developing a list of roads that would be considered in Phase 3 that we would begin in FY26. High Street cross-country sewer rehab, completed a study in 2020 that identified some capacity issues. $380,000 was appropriated for design in '23, so we're working on that right now. And we have a construction estimate of $3.42 million on that. We have applied for SRF funding for this project as well. Washington Street's another infrastructure and utility project. Water mains were replaced out there, but the sewer lines and drain lines need replacement as well. There's some traffic safety and vehicle speed concerns that we're probably going to look to address with this project.
Are you going to, sorry to interrupt, but are you going to do like traffic calming? What types of things?
Yeah, we'd be looking at all those types of things. Yep.
Yeah.
So, there is some on-street parking there, which is a challenge as well. It's a kind of a cut-through road, so we'd be looking at, a number of different measures to try to do that. So Court Street Pump Station, we replaced the pumps this year, but there's some additional work that needs to happen as far as building upgrades and placement of the force main. So we'll be requesting some design money in FY27 and developing construction estimates for later years on that. Green Street's another big one that's coming. FY28, we're requesting $750,000 for design. Again, large utility and road reconstruction project, water and sewer line replacement. There's some stormwater management issues we need to address out there. Again, looking at some pedestrian improvements with that project. And then last big one to mention is Portsmouth Ave reconstruction. So this is a project that's been discussed for several years, but this would look at building upon some work that was done in 2014. Looking at traffic flow issues, signal timing issues, stormwater, roadway, sidewalk deficiencies as well. Trying to coordinate signals throughout the corridor. So we have some draft plans from 2012. We're looking for that $75,000 to basically dust those off, bring them back out to stakeholders, get some input. There's been quite a few changes to the corridor since 2012, so we want to incorporate those into the design and conversation. That's it.
That's all? We recognize some of those from previous years. Now they're coming up. Thank you very much.
Let's see.
A little recreation here.
I don't have a PowerPoint.
So
You
just tell
don't.
us what page you're.
Yeah, can you tell us what page? It's hard to.
I do not know what pages is printed, but I don't have it.
Okay.
List is good, Greg.
Thank you, gentlemen, for spending part of the evening with us.
Thank you. Good to
Drop in
see everyone.
anytime, you know, we always like the
So if you
public.
tell me what the project is, I can tell you what page.
We're gonna start with park improvement, Nancy?
No, I can't. Parking lot, tennis. Oh, that's page 6.
Page 6.
Page 6, all right? That'd be after 5, wouldn't it?
Parks and Rec is proposing the park improvement fund to go on the warrant again this year. It's been very helpful over the last 5 years of helping revitalize our park system. I have listed a few of the projects we'd like to complete with the funding, if it's funded at the full $100,000. I know the select board had a interesting discussion last year, how they'd like to see it reestablished to 100,000. But a lot of them have these small projects have a lot of impact, actually. Especially, you'll see a lot of it is at Gilman Park. Gilman Park is one of the parks we're going to try to focus on in 2025. The old site where the basketball court actually drains towards our pavilion, so it often gets water puddling around it, so that's never good, and that will be a future site of a playground. So we want to regrade it to the proper angle to shed water away from the parking lot. We're going to complete the guardrail on that side of the Gilman Park, so that way it encloses it. So right now we have old telephone poles, and people have driven around them and rutted up the area, so we've had to do multiple repairs there. There's an old depression in the middle of the green space at Gilman Park. That was where the playground used to be, way back when the Dicey's were here in town. We need to fix that because one of our goals is put an electrical hookup there as well, and it's something where we'd eventually put in the future is put a couple of our robotic mowers there as well to help mow and maintain it. So that's the reason why. And also porta potty enclosures. One of the things that we really are trying to strive is have an opportunity for anyone using our park system to actually be able to use the restroom privately, but we understand that porta potties are not attractive. So there are some really great designs out there to make enclosures to kind of hide the porta potties. And then the spray pad, it's 16 years old now, so we want to do some repairs next year to try to bring it back. We do lose about 200 to 300 gallons a day just through leaking pipes. So it does add up over time, but something that we would look to do. And I had put in there, and excuse me, we will not be doing the tennis court resurfacing because I'll get to what we'll be doing for future years, starting next year. So that's really the nutshell. Last year we had $75,000 approved for the Park Improvement Fund. We used $15,000 of it to actually put the infrastructure in for the robotic mowers that we currently have now, that we use at Brickyard Park and Rec Park. So if you go at night, which I'm not recommending anyone does because the parks do close at dusk, our mowers are out there at night in the rain every night. So it keeps the grass at a nice, even level. So it's been one of the great things. It saves us, our park staff, a lot of time, and actually lessens the liability on our part because instead of putting a mower out there when there's activities going on, the grass is already mowed when those people show up. So, and those robots for the public are being funded out of our rec revolving fund, so there's no taxpayer dollars going into those robots right now.
So, Greg, Project 8 is off this list.
Yeah, Project 8
Thank
is
you.
off this
Just
list.
wanted to.
Yep. But as I've always been up here and telling you, we had so much deferred maintenance. Little projects always pop up.
Oh, yes.
And will continue to pop up.
Such is life.
We, especially, one of the things we're going to try to focus on this winter is rehabilitating some of the pool house using a combination of park improvement funds and impact fees, which I'll be coming to the board this fall to do. Just we did a great community service project. If anyone's seen it, gone by the pool, we gave it a huge facelift. Phillips Exeter Academy supplied some volunteers, and we repainted the pool house. And I mean, just
Incredible.
the aesthetic of it,
Yeah,
it changed
looks
it.
so much better.
Everyone just like, wow, this is a brand new building. We replaced some of the windows that had been failing, as well as added some new signage and some nice countertops. So, I mean, it's been a big thing that a bugaboo of ours as we try to chip away. So down the line, we're going to try to, if anyone's been in there, and I know lots of people have been, there's cement walls that separate the stalls. We're going to take those out, and we're going to actually put poly partitions in to make it more of a modern. There is not a ADA changing stall in either of them, so we're going to add an ADA changing stall in both men's and women's room. And we're also going to resurface the floor. Right now, it's an old epoxy that was not let's say it was put down before epoxies got good. So we're going to grind it out and redo the epoxy floor so it's easier to clean and maintain. And then paint the walls the same color as the outside. So we're bringing the outside in, so it's that it flows right through. The facility assessment that was done this past year has said it needed a replacement. I think if we put money into it, we can make that building last for another 30 years. It's a seasonal building. It's only open 3 months a year. We're not going to invest huge money in it to replace it because the city of Portsmouth looked to replace theirs at Pierce Island. And the numbers came in at 1.2 million, and we cannot justify that at the Parks and Rec Department to put that forward. So rehabilitating it's the best thing, and I think we have the right plan to make it look good.
Is the purchase of 10 Hampton Road part of that decision? Because you have that extra building and a safe place for...
Yes, absolutely, because now we wouldn't have to. That has been delayed, but now we're happily to announce that the construction's starting in September. So we're very excited about that. But yeah, Nancy, having a close proximity to it, and that's why one of the things, if you see repaving the pathway to the rec park, there's a pathway that goes up and stops short of 10 Hampton Road. We're going to continue that pathway as well all the way to 10 Hampton Road parking lot, so it's a continuous loop, so people can walk right up and go to 10 Hampton Road, or they can come down from 10 Hampton Road to the pool house, and the new Planet Playground come in next year. So we're excited about that, but that's how important the Park Improvement Fund, we can chip away at these little elements and really make an impact that people will see. All right.
Can I go back to your automatic lawnmowers?
Sure.
Do they have little spaces they go into when they're finished? And plug in and get charged up?
They have a docking station, yeah. They'll go back, they have each assigned how much they need to do, and they'll go up and they do multiple patterns. So one night they'll go horizontal, the next night they'll go vertical. So the pictures are stunning when they're done mowing.
Well, I saw the state out with a guy with handheld tool
Yep.
mowing the steep slopes by the bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
joystick.
state does have that, and that actually, again, goes back to liability. Now, that one you have to manually do. We could have
Yes.
done some of those, but if I'm gonna allocate resources for AI to help us in Parks and Rec, I want something that can actually function on its own. And I actually have an app on my phone right now. I could tell you where it is on which field. So it's been a really good implementation of any of the equipment. And just to give,
Any vandalism?
no. Knock on wood, Josh.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
We do have them labeled. They have our logo on them, do not touch. They are GPS monitored, so if someone decides to put it in their trunk and drive away, alarm will go off and will not be shut off until I or the police get there.
Oh, this is
Have
like
a PIN number.
like
And-
the sprinkler system in the Y, shutting the water off and wait for the fire department to come up.
Well, when I presented this to the select board, I actually brought this up. This was a Michigan State case where a Husqvarna, which is one of the brands we have, someone stole it off Michigan State campus,
Of course.
right to his house. And the police showed up, they pulled out front, and they could hear it going off in his car. They got a warrant article, or not warrant article, a search warrant, sorry.
We're in budget mode, that's where the warrant article.
Wrong
They
meeting.
got a search warrant. They opened up his garage and they found $500,000 of equipment stolen from Michigan State. So he stole the wrong robot
At the wrong
at
time.
the wrong time and got
And
caught.
took it to the wrong place.
So I mean, there are and they're fail safes. It bumps into you, it backs up, and it stops. If you put your hands underneath it automatically, there's sensors and it stops the blades.
Yeah.
So you're never gonna get cut. And you really have to be trying to get in its way.
Yep.
But it will bump into you and then go around you eventually.
Has the naming contest happened yet?
We started it last night, Nancy,
Okay.
at the Lollipop Festival.
Yay.
Kids could put in, we're voting on it tomorrow for the camp to pick the first name, and then we're gonna put out to the general public. We'll have 5 more robots that the general public can put in submissions to name him. And
Oh,
we'll
good.
label them with their name right on it. Our painting robot, and there's another robot we have, which
Oh, of
saves
course.
us a lot of time lining our athletic fields. I know I'm going a little off topic. She already came pre-named. She's Meryl Streep. I know, yeah, but instead of taking 3 hours to line a soccer field, it'll take us 25 minutes.
That's unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all GPS driven. That one we have to go out and manually do because we have to fill up the paint. And the paint is biodegradable paint, so within 2 weeks it's gone. It's washed away, and that's been a big savings of ours. And that's actually also, we turned that into a revenue source because every other athletic league in this town used the same vendor we did, who retired. So we picked up the slack, and so we lined fields for our youth soccer association. Just lining fields for them helped pay for the robot for the year, just in the spring. So it's going to generate, and actually this fall will help generate enough revenue to pay for the robot mowers. So I mean,
Good.
we're looking at the breaking even and everything, but not to take up too much more of your time.
It's a good story.
It is a good story. We are the first municipality in the state of New Hampshire with robotic.
Well, let's get it into the
Yeah.
paper there, you know?
And for Kristen, it's very sustainable. It's not 100% green because obviously fossil fuels would make them manufacture it. But it's very low, it's no carbon emissions. So that's another
Yeah.
factor we're looking
Good.
into. Our next thing that will be on the 2025 warrant, we're hoping, is in the discussion with the leadership team and Dave, was moving up the need for an ADA accessible van. We've seen a lot of more requests as we ramp up our senior programming for such vans to be able to transport people around. And with the opening of Hampton Road next year,
So you have 3. One's on 58, one's on 60, and one's on 62.
But
New
we're-
van is 62, is that
Yep.
the one?
yes, we're only looking at the new van. The others will wait for following
Okay.
years and maybe pushed
Not
out
there
depending
yet.
on it. But
I got it.
Yeah,
one of these new vans goes from any brand new 120,000, but we can get a slightly used one, and I checked with Corey Stevens that it is allowed with less than 20,000 miles on it for a savings of $30,000. So for 89 or 80 or 90,000. So that's something that we're looking to go. We're looking for grants, obviously, and looking for other ways to do it. Rec revolving fund can help contribute to it, but that's something that's a big priority for us. Because I feel as we do more and more senior activities, being able to transport our seniors to 10 Hampton Road will be important.
having
And-
gone on a couple of trips, it's needed.
Yes, yeah, and so our van is nice to get in and out for those that are able to, but we actually this year implemented a mobility chart for our trips. So to let those people know, like, this is a lot of walking, rough terrain. So those that may need a walker or other assistance know that this may not be the trip for them to go on, especially if it's like, oh, we're walking a mile. Well, if I can't walk a mile, I'm not going on it. So this is just going to be something, and we'd focus on going on more trips, but bringing them up to 10 Hampton Road and utilizing the senior lounge, I think, will be one of the great things. We'll make trips around 277 Water Street, Sterling Hills. We'll go to the Mills. Anywhere that people want to come, we'll try to set up not a set route, but we'll try to accommodate them as programming is happening so we can get people there. And then for the future, we pushed this out, but last year, if you did not know, we had some structural cracking of the lower tennis courts. Our courts are
So that's page 14.
now 20 years old. So one of the things that we are looking for, especially doing Planet Playground, is the engineering. We want to engineer. The good intentions of building the tennis courts are great, but there were no drainage installed in 1974 when they were built. So there's consistent water running towards it and under the slabs of pavement. So one of the things that we would be looking to is redesign the drainage so it doesn't structurally destroy it, but also go with a different material, a post-tension concrete, which will pretty much last for 30 to 40 years without any structural cracking. This is the new material being used on tennis courts throughout New England because of the resistance to cracking. Because New England, we have strange weather. It may rain one day, but then snow the next, and then be 80 degrees the next day. Just an exaggeration. So that's something we want to get the engineering. So this is a vital step for us because being a Land and Water Conservation Fund property, we will be eligible up to $500,000 of relief if we apply for it. But they are now looking for projects that have design and engineering done already to show the commitment. And that design and engineering can be used towards our match. So
Good.
I've gotten various quotes, but I'm trying to fine tune them before I bring them to prime time because I want to make sure they're all apples to apples. But it's important to do it ahead of time so then we can actually have the proper numbers so we can come back to you in 2027 and say, all right, it's going to cost X amount of dollars and this is what we're going to do. Are we going to redesign, add pickleball courts, add lights? I know there has been a suggestion on the upper courts having some lights, so we want to make sure we have our due diligence and have all the information for the voters to decide what they want to do.
Does a concrete court still does it get a coating on it?
They do,
The
John.
ball's gonna bounce.
They do get a coating on it, and there's new coatings coming out every day. There's a rubberized coating that they're starting to use more and more that gives it more of a slight little bounce, so it's easier on the knees and the hips. But that's the only thing we'll have to do. I can tell you there's various ones, and Steve Cronin is still here. He actually was in the middle of doing a project at his former site of doing post-tension concrete, and then this is the material we want to use. So that way, I'm dating myself now. It was my first year here 20 years ago when we replaced the courts with pavement. And again, the facility assessment goes back to saying, oh, the courts are in bad shape, the fencing needs to be replaced. We've already gotten estimates on the fencing. The fencing is $180,000. We know that. And that's even lowering it from the 10 feet that it is to the standard of 8 feet now. We know drainage is going to be expensive. We want to make sure it's ADA accessible. We have those modifications now, but we may need to do some tweaking of the site to make sure it's ADA accessible. And then, of course, it's a debate. Do we want to have lights on the upper courts to allow earlier usage or later usage in the spring and the fall? And I'm not talking till 10, like 9 o'clock. People could still go out there and enjoy it. But how we get that funding, and there's different avenues we can go, but that's something that we need to decide and come up with a plan. But for $500,000 and talking with the state, this is the exact project they're looking for. And that's it for me for now.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I think you did need to put a live demonstration on EXTV on the automatic lawnmowers.
There is.
You could rent them out during the day in the neighborhoods. Dave Sharples is, I wonder how he's doing there. Is he asleep in the chair?
No, I'm doing fine.
Oh, good.
I heard you.
Listening to me, huh?
Oh, I'm listening. What? Am I up next?
Yeah.
Or is Kristen?
We want to make sure you're still awake.
Yeah, I'm awake. I can let Kristen go unless there's an order,
Yeah, I'll go, Dave.
because then she's going to put up my sheets that I'm doing
Okay.
for me.
Okay.
I have some visuals, but not the forms, because you have the forms in front of you. And I know we've been jumping around. Oh, hi, everyone. Kristen Murphy, Conservation and Sustainability Planner. So the two sheets I'm talking about today is, the first one is the electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and that's page 8 in your packet, or your booklet.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. So This project is a culmination of some research that the Energy Committee was advocating for. They identified 3 sites in town that they were interested in installing public electric vehicle charging. One was at the current Parks and Rec building, the backside of the senior center, and those were much cheaper because the meters were there. We don't know the future of the Parks and Rec building yet. There's some unknowns there. And then the senior center, the back end is used by Meals on Wheels, and we really didn't want to put forward a project that caused issues. So we were walking around and found this site. This is in the municipal lot. If you look, let's see if I'm capable. Yeah. So this is Bow Street. This is the pass-through. We're up here in the town office building. This is the main part of the municipal lot, and this is townhouse common. So this area here, oh, there we go. I'm not sure.
Has a mind of its
But
own
do you see
tonight.
the red box there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a location there. There's a pretty wide island that's present. It's in better shape now. It had some maintenance done. And there's 2 parallel spots. If you can see where that Jeep is parked in the upper right picture, there's 2 parallel spots there. And the thought was we could add a 4-port charging system there using that island. So we would shrink up the size of the island to be able to accommodate the charging infrastructure and provide charging for 4 spots, only dedicating 2 spots to EVs. We're only losing 2 spots, I guess you could consider it, to electric vehicle charging. So we gain 4. Part of the reason it was felt there, you've probably seen EV charging go up around town. There's quite a few public chargers that are being installed. And so one question that has come up is, don't we have enough? Why does the municipality need to provide this? And there is a standard rate that's put out by the U.S. Department of Energy. They basically say 3.4% of your registered electric vehicles should be 3.4% is the number of chargers you need. And so to me, that seems a little short-sighted because that's as though it's only Exeter vehicles that you're accommodating. And for a municipality this close to our businesses, I think that there's a real opportunity for us to draw in some additional use there. But at a minimum, at that 3.4% registered vehicle rate, Exeter residents alone would need 22 chargers, and currently, including the ones in Stratham, which is where many of them are, there's 17 total. So we do still have capacity for additional chargers, only if you're looking at Exeter registered vehicles. I think the demand for these sites will draw people from beyond just Exeter residents. So the cost here, I put in the highest. We had Revision Energy give us a quote for installation. There is not a meter at this current site, but there is a transformer right on the pole here on Bow Street. Bow Street. And then there's an existing pole here, so we think with minimal trenching we could get this installed. They quoted us the high end because until you get the utilities on site, they can't guarantee what the costs will be, and to do that costs money. So so we opted for the higher range of numbers. So I put in $120,000 for this year to cover a 4-port system. 30% of that cost, we're eligible for a tax credit, just like we were for the solar array. The bipartisan infrastructure law offers municipalities 30% tax credit. So that will be covered. That would reimburse up to $36,000 of the $120,000. And there is an opportunity for an 80 federal, 20 local grant through the, that's also Department of Energy, no, Department of Transportation, Federal Department of Transportation, charging and fueling infrastructure. And those funding opportunities are announced in May. So there is opportunity to offset the cost further. We did not apply this year because we weren't ready at the time to do that. We wanted to be sure that this was something the public wanted and the budget committee was supportive. So we just have it in as a CIP at this point.
I'm kind of curious why we're getting into that business.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking, that's my question, is
Yeah.
why is that
Yeah.
the town's obligation?
It's not the town's obligation. I do think that, so if you look at the opportunity to bring additional business to our downtown, I think it's something that Exeter as a municipality could do for local businesses. Other communities are going to be starting, if you look at the map now of where charging and fueling infrastructure is, it's predominantly Stratum, unless you count the Inn by the Bandstand. There's the Volvo dealer has some, and then McFarland's
McFarland's just
is
about
putting
finished,
some
yeah.
in,
We
or
approved
has
some,
put some
yeah.
in. But
Also have,
But those aren't
But
downtown.
the worry, yeah, there's none downtown, and the worry is that, so given a choice, if I have an EV, I'm gonna go somewhere like Planet Fitness and
Except
and
that-
charge there.
Except they're building a new bank right in front of the EV things, you can't
Yeah,
get to them.
right.
So-
You can get to the backside.
How-
Well, yeah, you can't right
Do
now,
we,
but-
do we make money on it?
So.
It's not free, is it?
It's not free. You can set it up in a whole host of ways. So what the timeline for the return of investment is really difficult to calculate. And that's something that we would need to work out. And you're not committed. So once you choose a method for payment, you can either have flat rates or you can have them escalated so that during certain, if they're charging during peak hours, it's more expensive for them to use. You can also cap them. So one worry that had been expressed early on to me was we don't want to, but we have residents who don't have parking, who might have electric vehicles. We don't want them camping out and blocking that charging spot. You can put it so that the penalty for staying there after you're charged is substantial. So
That's what they do,
it takes it builds in the motivation for them to move on.
I've seen, what's the Secretary Buttigieg getting grilled by some representatives and stuff about the charging stations and why should even the federal government be doing it. And he says there's 180,000 of them that they built in the last few years. And do we get some of that money towards this? Is that the money?
So the Federal Department of Transportation,
Right.
it would be federal. Is federal funds. It's through the charging and fueling infrastructure. We've not applied for that. That there is an opportunity for that. And then the 30% tax credit, that is federally provided. So yeah.
My son bought an EV.
Yeah.
He also put solar panels on the roof of his house that that's where he gets his electricity. So it's like, it's a nice way to do it. He doesn't pay anything.
Right. Yeah.
But, so then I get to think, do we have an opportunity to put it someplace where we have solar panels already? Although I don't think I'd want to bring my car to the landfill to charge it, but.
Right. So perhaps the most important part of installing public charging systems is site location.
Yeah.
And you want a site that's going to be attractive to a lot of people, because the more people that are using it for you, the quicker your return on investment. And so to me, this really seems, although the Court Street properties were walkable to downtown, this location it's not in that front area parking lot. But it's a little bit further away, but it's still completely accessible to downtown businesses.
Kristen, how long, I can't remember from when McFarland 4 came before the select board, the planning board. They were talking about the length of time it takes to charge a vehicle. I know it can vary, but my understanding is if someone wants to use one of those spots and charge a vehicle, they have time to go shopping downtown, have something to eat downtown.
Yeah.
They'll have things to do while their car is charging.
Right, these are level 2 chargers. I wouldn't anticipate someone would come here and fill their battery completely up. But charging
But a
for
few
30,
hours.
30 or 45 minutes would get you 130 miles or something like that for an average.
Yeah. So even
Every
if they
car
were
is
there for an
different.
hour, they have time to shop or have lunch or
Go get a smoothie.
dinner or
Fancy
go
park.
for a walk and explore downtown.
Exactly.
Yeah, I am. I'm really excited to see this I think it was in May, and I think I sent you guys the invite to this. Plan New Hampshire, which is a local planning organization, hosted an event at the Unitil facility, which I attended, and I was kind of just excited to see the Unitil facility. But it was all about electric charging in New Hampshire. Electric vehicle, it is about electric vehicle implementation, and, we need more charging stations. We're like, if you look at state by state, we are horribly low, and it's partly because we don't offer some of the incentives that our neighbor states do. But that was, I think, one thing I really picked up on is they were talking about how important it is to put charging downtown, because people who have electric vehicles, they're driving down the highway and they're like, oh, I got to find a charger, I got to charge. And if they see one downtown Exeter, they're going to stop, they're going to look around, they're going to start shopping. They got 30 minutes to spare. And it's like, it's such a great business development idea. I do think that we have to put you're done and now you're going to be charged more if you don't move your car, though, because people will just leave their cars there too long.
There's a charging station at Walmart in Seabrook,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what it
That's
does.
what you do, you go
As long as you're
shopping.
parked there, you're getting, even though you may be 100% charged, you're still getting charged more money for
Yep.
not moving your car. You have to kind of do that.
Could you run by again, you talk about 4 connections,
Yes.
and I see 2 on the
Yes,
roadside.
So
There
it
going to
would
be 2 more on the other side?
Yeah.
Take away one of those slanted spaces?
So this grassy part here is this grassy island.
Yes.
And so the charging ports could easily fit on a narrower strip. So this island the vision is this island would be shrunk up here.
Okay.
And then you'd have those safety bollards on either side. And there's enough space to have 2 other parking spaces.
this side of the
So it'd be
island.
1, 2, well, I can't, it's not.
2 on
quite
each side of
3,
the
4.
island then,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there'd be 2 plugs.
4 plugs.
4 plugs.
Oh, 4
2 and
plugs.
2.
4 plugs.
Okay, 4 plugs and 4
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would make sense.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
by shrinking the island, that's why you said we'd only lose 2 parking
Right,
spaces.
exactly.
Because we'd be gaining more space because of the island being shrunk.
Right.
Do I have that right?
You got it right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope. But
Okay.
have something else to share with us?
I do. So
Oh,
the
good.
second item I'm going to talk about is on page 10 of your packet.
That's
And
easy.
I have a visual because it's kind of a hard concept, I think, to get until you see it. So this was a result of the effort of the Sustainability Advisory Committee and mine. We had learned about a program that is run out of Guilford, New Hampshire at their Public Works department, and it's for styrofoam recycling. And basically the concept is it's this, this box truck box. It's not a truck, but I don't know what you call it.
Container.
A container.
container,
Thank
yeah.
you. A container. And on half of it is where you can store your cardboard that you're collecting over time. And on the other half, you have what's called a densifier. And what that densifier does is it takes your big, bulky styrofoam, crushes it up, heats it, and then it produces these long coils. Oh, shoot. Sorry. These long coils here that you then store on pallets and can sell as a commodity. And so the concept that Guilford has put out is they call it a hub and spoke system, where they're the hub and communities all around them can be bringing styrofoam. They're accepting it. They're paying for, I think it's 2 people once a month or something like that to process what they receive, and then they have this commodity that they can then sell. And the value of that commodity is pretty surprising. It's not quite as high valued as aluminum, but it's like double. I hope I put that in here. It's double the value of, say, cardboard. And so $750 a ton. And so in addition to being able to sell it as a commodity, the town would also realize a savings in hauling fees because you don't have all this bulk waste taking up your dumpsters, and so you can put more material in there and have less trips.
So you're remanufacturing the styrofoam
Yeah.
in a different form? Okay.
And you're taking it out of the landfill,
Yep.
getting it out of the waste stream,
Yep.
and offering a reuse opportunity. So, so the cost for this project is $80,000. That should cover the electrical hookup, the the purchase of the system, and then I've been working with Steve to sort of ensure that the design for the new transfer station that he talked about earlier will have enough space to accommodate this. And the beauty of it is there is actually a recyclefoam.org offers a $50,000 grant, and it's a March to April application timeframe. Guilford has done a phenomenal job at marketing this concept. Recycle.org, she's like, just apply and you'll get the grant. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but she's like, they're eager to roll this program out statewide, and so they provide a $50,000 cost, reducing the cost to Exeter to $30,000.
Wow.
So it's, even without the grant, it's a great concept to get our styrofoam out of the waste stream, and have an opportunity to have hauling savings and a commodity that we can then
And
sell.
that gets processed back to
Back
reusable
to-
styrofoam.
Yeah, so I don't know the process, but somehow they, fluff it back up and
Yeah.
mold it into whatever.
So there's a market to buy it
Yep,
back?
Yep.
Okay, that was the only question I had was, okay, what if, like, with the recycling, the market
crashes or something like
crashes
that.
and,
Yep.
but,
I can have that for the budget process, but Guilford has really detailed numbers on all of that and what they've collected from communities and what they've sold it for, so.
So they keep track of the communities outside of Guilford that are using
Yeah.
that facility.
Yeah, in fact, this fall, we're hoping to do a styrofoam collection event timed with the electronic recycling. And so you can bring your styrofoam and we'll haul it to Guilford, and just like other communities do. They don't have limits. You don't have to live within a certain distance. They'll take it from anyone because it's beneficial to them to receive
They're
it.
making money.
Awesome.
Yep,
So it
Yeah.
works out, we will try to do the same.
yep.
Sure.
So how do I
So
bring my?
buy fewer blue bags as well.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
because
point
those
too.
two. Yeah. So if I have a bunch of styrofoam, do I have to wait for the event, or can I bring it to the?
Yeah.
So for this fall, you do have to hold on to it until
Yeah.
the event. There are opportunities to buy, if you look at the bottom right picture, there's kind of a bin similar to Help See that, some communities put out. I didn't include that in this. I only included one for the transfer station, but,
That would be handy though, because I feel like I don't know, like
yeah.
have one or two of those around town, but then you gotta
Did fill
haul
up
it.
in
I
Did
guess
fill
what
up.
I
know,
worry
that's a
about
good point.
with it is when
In
you're
the
crushing up
styrofoam
styrofoam, then you have all those tiny
Little pieces.
floating
Yeah.
balls
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah.
And so,
Right.
I don't know, in my mind, it's like, let's try it out here where it's kind of controlled and we have eyes on it and see how it
who
goes.
loads it? Does someone at a transfers just for protection of
The
what goes
workers?
into? No, I'm just thinking that is other stuff apt to get into that bin, or does
Dirty coffee cups.
like people
Yeah.
get careless about what they put
Yeah.
where?
Labels
and
on it.
So-
is there a way to
Yeah.
keep it just styrofoam and not?
So all of the stuff that's collected gets hand-fed into that machine.
By someone in-
It would be Public Works
Okay, that's what
employees.
I-
So,
In my awkward way, that's what I was trying to ask.
So there would be a sorting process.
Okay.
Just like anything, I mean, you look in any recycle bin, no one gets it right, so.
Right.
It's gonna take a ton of education and we can reduce that, but at the end of the day, someone's gonna have to do that.
Yeah,
filter.
okay.
And there's all different kinds of styrofoam, right?
Yeah, and.
Does
and
it take like only certain ones? or-
It does, and I'm not super versed. I know obviously it takes like the styrofoam packing. It does not take, it doesn't accept food containers.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
But
they're probably
there's,
dirty.
there's others, and I can't remember what the list included.
Wow. That's huge. That's
Yeah.
a
Oh, so
Yeah, I hate
it's
exciting
fun,
project,
right?
and it's fun.
So would it require Steve to hire more personnel to maintain this part of the project?
I think, with the model that Kristen is talking about, it would be, we kind of do this in batches, so. we
So it would
try
be
to-
absorbed
I don't
and
think
see
we'd
how
be
it goes.
Hiring additional personnel is, just maybe adding, some additional hours to the part-time help that we already have.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I'll pull Dave's up.
All right, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Great.
Now for the
I'm gonna-
presentation we've been waiting for all night.
Yes. So can IT put the sheet up so I can see it on my computer? Because I have it on my phone, but it's a little small. But I only have one sheet, but I'm going to go over several from other departments because they're in years ahead. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of them that the planning board may have questions on and just want to hear about. So I'll present those as well. The one thing I have is on page 9, which is the master plan update.
Yep.
The NOAC room was muted, so I couldn't hear it at first. So I don't know if Russ explained to the planning board that the minimum threshold for price of a CIP item went from 25 to 75,000.
Oh,
We did not cover that.
Okay,
did not.
so that was covered. So, but I kept the master plan update in there because it was, it is for 50,000. But I wanted to just make the board aware. As you all know, we approved the warrant article back in 2017 for the purpose of updating our master plan. We completed it in 2018 after 1,000 people from the public. Exeter, from the Exeter community provided input. So it was very successful. We had 66 action agenda items at the end of it. And I did an update on the analysis several months ago, and all but one have either been completed or being worked on. So it is time to put that back in the queue. It is in the queue for 2028. Now, there was some talk about possibly moving that up. Some people mentioned that, which I'm okay with, but I don't think it would be this year because we have a lot going on. We got the parking and pedestrian traffic analysis for downtown that we just completed. I just got the final report. We got the bike and ped master plan that we just finished. So now it's time to do implementation on those. So I don't want to just keep doing studies and not do implementation. So it takes about a year to do these studies, and then it takes, a year or two to implement them. So those studies were an action item in the master plan. So I'd like to finish all those up in implementation before we embarked on an update again.
Thank you, Mr. Sharples, because I was one of the people wondering why we were waiting. Now I understand.
Yeah, it's more about bandwidth, and we still got a lot to finish from the others. I mean, most of the action items are being completed or being worked on, so there are a lot being worked on. So I figured we'd get through those. Anyone have any questions on that?
I'm curious about your budget because I seem to remember I thought it was $50,000 when we did it last time, and this is 10 years later. And we know what's happened in 10 years with inflation. So I'm just wondering, is that going to be enough to bring on?
Well, since I had it in 2028, I didn't change the price. So I'll probably, have to get a more accurate, up-to-date, quote when we get closer to it.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, if I got a quote now, I don't know what good that was. So I just kind of left it in there as a placeholder. It's going to be somewhere around there. So we'll see. But I agree with you. It definitely, inflation and everything, it's going to be higher. But I just don't know what it's going to be at this point.
yeah. Well, I think it's good that you put that in there to start thinking about it, because by that time, we don't want to start at that time, at this point we're at today, because then you're going to have a gap. And, we're interested in transitions, so we have a plan to move on towards. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the state recommends, every 10 years you should do the master plan update. So that would be at the 10-year mark. So
Yep.
5 to 10, but it's just, we got a lot going on, and we're actually implementing, a lot of the action items. So it just takes a while, to do those things.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, unless anyone has any questions on that. Okay, page 1. This is from the Economic Development Department. I encouraged him to, well, it's right after the table of contents.
There you go, right there.
Some reason it's saying enable camera access in my browser's address bar. So it's not letting me, it's not letting me turn on my camera. But anyway, so this is a new one that I told, Darren was meeting with several folks. He's kind of organized some folks that have an interest in the train, the Downeaster, and the train station. And I've been talking with him, and I encouraged him to at least put in a CIP item so it gets on people's radar screen. And it's for the Downeaster train station down on Lincoln Street. And the project is to construct a new train station facility with handicap accessible bathrooms, informational kiosks, warming waiting area, like a station host office, and potential space for the area, Exeter area Chamber of Commerce, bike racks, quick rack machines, and so forth. So that's a project that's scheduled, for funding. The first time they're going to do funding is next year for design, for architectural design, engineering, surveying, and so forth. Just kind of get a handle on what the improvements will be and how they'll be located. So then they can price them out and come back, put in a CIP for the actual construction.
Is any of that cost shared with Amtrak or CSX?
That's a great question. I will ask Darren that if there's opportunity. I believe he did tell me, because he goes to the NEPR meetings, which is the rail meetings, and he did say the possibility of some funding available. So we're definitely, they'll definitely look into that. But I'll have a more definitive answer at next meeting, because any of these that aren't my projects, I know about them, but I'll follow up with them with any questions the board may have, and I'll come back to the public hearing on the 22nd and make sure you get those answers.
It sure would be nice if the state would belly up to the bar on this railroad. So far, they've really not been too helpful, and I think it's an opportunity for them to step forward to realize the ridership on that train and the importance of that type of facility that they're looking at. So, let's beat the drums on it.
Yeah, and our understanding from NEPR is that grant funding is available for the right project. So that is something we are pursuing.
Good.
Doesn't the state of Maine have something to do with that whole line too?
Oh, yeah, they just about own it.
The state of Maine funds quite a bit.
Everything.
along
They've
the
got some
line.
beautiful stations up in Maine.
Thank you. The next one is on page 7, ADA improvements. It is listed under planning, but I started it, when we did the evaluation and transition plan. Now it's it's a capital reserve fund for ADA improvements that are really, Doug Eastman, our building inspector, is also our ADA coordinator for the town of Exeter. And then a lot of the monies for the projects that have been completed, such as the accessible bathrooms over in the town hall, those are funneled through DPW and Jeff Beck in the maintenance program at DPW. But we've are proposing to keep funding this and putting in an additional $25,000 into the capital reserve fund for the upcoming year.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's kind of seen this one. This one's a reoccurring every year. Anyone have any questions on that?
Don't see any.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll keep rolling along. So, police and fire, page 11. Yep, you just had it. Whoop.
Yep.
Yeah, right there. Oh. Yes, there it is. The records management. Police and fire are looking to do some records management. What page was that again? Because I can't read that. Let's see. 11. Yes, okay. Yeah, the current records management system is called IMC and is through Central Square, and it was implemented at the police and fire department over 24 years ago at the turn of the century, and the system is now archaic and has been pushed aside by its own company to introduce newer systems that are cloud-based. So they're going to need to switch over to a new records management system that can be supported. There's an upfront startup fee of $35,000 and then a 5-year fee of $80,000 for a total of $437,160. But the first year of funding requested for this isn't until 2026. But I just wanted to put it on the radar screen because it's a new submittal by the police this year. Any questions on that? Hearing none, I'll keep rolling. Can everyone hear me still?
Yep.
Okay. I'll go page 5, please, Kristen. This is a new one we've all seen for a while, the new PD fire substation, and I think you just went by it. It was page 5.
There it is. Yep.
There it is.
Yeah, right there. And that passed. The voters voted that in, so it was very positive to see. We've been working on that. We're just contracting with the design firm now. We have an owner project manager on board for several months now, and we've went through the design RFP process, and we're working through a contract to get a design firm on board for that new facility. But then there's always been a question of what to do with the existing Court Street. A lot of people have mentioned that question. That we put it in here because we wanted to. There are a lot of things that the study, that the previous studies identified as shortcomings of the current facility. Yeah. There was about a total of about just under 50 of them, problems identified, but most of them, all but like 5 or 6 of them, like a handful of them, are solved with the new facility. You're taking a facility that has, police and fire and a 7-shift fire, and then you're building the fire substation, and you're going to move 3 out of those 7 there. So there's only going to be 4 fire per shift at 20 Court Street, which was how this building was originally designed. It was originally designed for 4 firefighters a shift. So it's just going back to the original. So the fire chief, Justin Pison, the new fire chief, wants a little break-in period, a live-in period. He wants to get to, live in it for a while without the PD there, without a 7, from the staff going from 7 to 4, and then possibly look at a possible, minor renovations to include some of the items that weren't captured by the new police station, like a decontamination area and a turnout gear area in this facility. The modern way to build a fire station now is they're very health conscious. From when the fighters come back from a call, they have contaminants on them, because they've been exposed to various chemicals and so forth. So they go from what they call the hot zone, and then they go into a warm zone, and then they go into a cool zone, which is their residence. And you really want to have this kind of areas of decontamination so you don't take those chemicals and bring them into where you're living. So that is one shortcoming of this existing facility, because they really didn't do that back in 79 when they built it. So we're probably going to look at that and come back with something in several years from now in 2028.
Just for clarity, Dave, is the call center remaining in that building, or is it moving to the new structure?
Dispatch is going to the new structure.
Thank you.
That's my understanding. That's always been the case. So, all right. So page, and let's see, I've done that one. And finally, page 12.
That's after 11, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there. And this one you've seen before. It's been in there. This has been funded, and we've done some on the water tower, and we're slowly picking away for coverage on the entire town, and radio coverage. It kind of repeats, so it's just kind of a backup system to make sure our emergency responders can continue to talk to each other in emergencies and power outages and so forth. So this was a repeater system, but it has been, the fire and PD have determined that it's better to defer it. It was going to be again this year, but they decided to defer it until the new police station and fire substation is built, to see what kind of coverage they get from that area. So maybe there's a opportunity to solve some of this, and maybe this CIP sheet might change a little bit for that. So it's deferred for a couple of years. It's going to be, right now we're looking at the new PD fire substation being occupied in the fall of 26. So this is something that wouldn't come back for a couple years. And finally, without any questions, I just did want to mention, because the complete street study is the one thing in the master plan that has yet to been done. It was in the CIP for several years, moving its way up toward it. But that price is much lower than $75,000, so it's not in there anymore. But I will be putting that in my budget to get that study done.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that when we were talking about the Portsmouth Avenue project that's coming up. I feel like it would be great to have the complete street study in place, because that's it needs to be a complete street, and how does it connect to other streets, and just like having that will just help inform the design of that. It would seem silly to embark on a design and construction process for Portsmouth Avenue without having that study. So that's great.
Great. Any other questions? Is there anyone? I think we've covered everyone, right?
As far as I know.
I think so.
Yeah.
Did the
So
crowd
the
break
next.
in?
Yeah, so the next step is August 22nd. We have our meeting. Remember, we always have it at 6:30. I'm assuming that's still okay this year?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what the plan is, yes, 6:30.
Okay, because we have the public hearing at 6:30. And if anyone wants to come in contact, I'll bring you that train station funding answer. I'll get a little information from Darren on that. And then we'll have our regular business and regular meeting starting at 7. So we'll have applications, I'm sure, again.
Correct. All right.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. I will. I'll be in next week.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dean, and
Nice.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
And I hope that the public watches this with popcorn in their hands.
Absolutely. Good night.
Okay,
Good night.
let's see, we got an agenda here somewhere.
Master plan discussion, field modification.
Well, I don't know if there's anything there, yeah, okay. No master plan discussion, we talked about that. Field modifications, I don't believe there are any. And bond or letter of credit,
Well, Dave's gone, so.
yeah, Dave's gone, so I would look.
No, I'm not gone.
Oh,
Still here.
No, he's still here.
No, I'm not gone until you adjourn.
Oh,
all right.
You got me.
any field modifications?
No field modifications, no bond reductions this time.
Okay. So is there anything else that, for the good of the order? Again, just a reminder, we will be meeting at 6:30 on the 22nd. I gotta put that in my calendar and not come in the last minute. All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, voice votes adequate for this. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it. We stand adjourned. Thank you again for coming this evening, folks.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content